Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a tiny gray kitten named Max. Max was the smallest kitten in his family, and because of that, his brothers and sisters often teased him. "You're too small to climb the fence," said his brother. "You're too scared to go outside the yard," teased his sister. Max felt sad, but deep down, he wanted to show everyone that being small didn't mean he couldn't be brave. One sunny day, as Max lay under a tree, he heard a loud chirping sound. Looking up, he saw a little baby bird flapping its wings, stuck on a low branch. The poor bird had fallen from its nest and couldn't get back up. Max's brothers and sisters saw it too. "That's too high for you, Max. You'll never reach it," they said, laughing. But Max didn't listen. He looked at the bird and thought, "I have to help." With all his courage, Max climbed up the tree. It was shaky and he slipped a little, but he kept going. The branch swayed in the breeze, but Max held on tight with his tiny paws. Finally, he reached the baby bird. "Don't be scared," Max said softly. "I'll help you." He carefully nudged the bird with his nose, guiding it back to the nest higher up in the tree. Step by step, Max climbed, and soon, the bird was safely back with its family. When Max climbed down, his brothers and sisters were waiting. They were amazed. "Wow, Max, that was so brave," said his brother. "You're not just small, you're a hero," said his sister. Max smiled. He felt proud and happy. From that day on, no one teased Max anymore. They knew that being small didn't stop him.
Once upon a time, in a little village, there lived a small gray cat named Milo. Milo was soft, cuddly, and loved napping in sunny spots. But there was one thing about Milo that everyone knew. He was afraid of everything. He was scared of loud noises, big dogs, and even the tiny squeaky mouse that lived in the kitchen. Milo would hide under the bed whenever he got frightened. One evening, as the moon rose in the sky, a terrible thing happened in the village. A big gust of wind blew Mr. Baker's favorite red hat off his head and carried it into the tall, dark tree in the middle of the park. "Oh no, my hat," cried Mr. Baker. "It's stuck up there, and I can't reach it." The villagers gathered around, scratching their heads. The tree was too tall for anyone to climb, and the branches were too thin for a ladder. As everyone wondered what to do, Milo peeked out from behind a bush. He saw the red hat stuck high in the tree. "I wish I could help," thought Milo, his little heart thumping. "But the tree is so big and scary." Just then, he heard a little girl say, "I wish someone small and light could climb up there." Milo's ears perked up. "I'm small and light," he thought. Maybe I can do it." Milo took a deep breath, stepped forward, and meowed loudly. The villagers turned to him in surprise. "Do you want to try, Milo?" asked Mr. Baker. Milo nodded. He walked up to the tree, his paws trembling. The villagers cheered him on. "You can do it, Milo." Milo dug his claws into the bark and started climbing. Higher and higher he went, past the branches that swayed in the wind. His tail wiggled for balance, and his whiskers twitched with determination. Finally, Milo reached the red hat. He carefully grabbed it in his mouth and climbed back down. The villagers clapped and cheered as Milo placed the hat in Mr. Baker's hands. "You're so brave, Milo," said Mr. Baker, patting him on the head. From that day on, Milo wasn't called a scaredy cat anymore. He became Milo the Brave, the little hero of the village. Once upon a time, in a peaceful meadow surrounded by tall trees and colorful flowers, there lived a kind and clever ginger cat named Milo. Milo had shiny orange fur that gleamed in the sunlight and a long tail that twitched whenever he was excited. Milo loved helping his friends in the meadow. One sunny morning, Milo was basking on a warm rock when he heard a soft sniffle coming from the bushes. Curious, he hopped down and padded over to see who it was. Peeking through the leaves, he saw a small, gray rabbit sitting under a tree. The rabbit had big, teary eyes and floppy ears drooping sadly. "Hello there," Milo said gently, crouching down so he wouldn't scare the rabbit. "What's wrong?" The rabbit looked up and wiped a tear away with his little paw. "I'm Benny," he said in a tiny voice. "I got separated from my family while we were playing hide and seek. Now, I don't know how to find them." Milo's heart melted. "Don't worry, Benny. I'll help you find your family." I'm very good at solving problems. Benny's ears perked up a little. Really? You do that for me? Of course, Milo said, puffing out his chest proudly. Now, let's figure out where they might be. Do you remember where you last saw them? Benny thought for a moment and then pointed toward the meadow's edge. We were playing near the big oak tree. Great. Let's start there, Milo said. The two friends set off together, with Benny hopping along beside Milo. As they walked, Milo used his sharp eyes and ears to look for any signs of Benny's family. They asked other animals for help, too. A friendly sparrow told them she had seen some rabbits near the riverbank, so they headed in that direction. When they reached the river, Benny's nose twitched. I smell something familiar, he said excitedly. Milo grinned. Let's follow that scent. Soon, they spotted a group of rabbits huddled together under a willow tree. Benny's eyes lit up. That's my family, he cried, bounding toward them. The rabbits looked up, and their faces filled with joy when they saw Benny. His mother hugged him tightly, and his siblings bounced around him in excitement. Milo stood back, smiling at the happy reunion. Benny turned to him and said, Thank you, Milo. I couldn't have done it without you. Milo purred. I'm glad I could help. Remember, friends always look out for each other. From that day on, Benny and Milo became the best of friends. Whenever Benny needed help, Milo was always there, and they had many more adventures together in the meadow. And so, the ginger cat and the little rabbit proved that kindness and friendship could make anything possible. In a small village, there lived a fluffy orange cat named Bella. Bella loved her quiet life, napping in sunny spots, chasing leaves, and curling up on the windowsill. She liked peace and quiet, and always avoided the neighbor's big, energetic dog Max. Max was a bouncy black and white dog who loved to run, bark, and chase anything that moved. Bella thought he was loud and annoying, so she stayed far away from him. One chilly morning, Bella was exploring the meadow near the village when she heard a soft whimper. She followed the sound and found Max sitting near a tree, his paw caught in a tangled mess of vines. Max! Bella called hesitantly. Max's ears perked up. Bella, is that you? Oh, I'm so glad you're here. My paw is stuck, and I can't get free. Bella hesitated. She didn't really like Max, but he looked so helpless. She couldn't just leave him there. Taking a deep breath, she padded closer. Hold still, Bella said. She carefully used her sharp claws to cut through the vines. It wasn't easy. The vines were tough, and some of them were wrapped tightly around Max's paw. Does it hurt? Bella asked as she worked. A little, Max admitted, but you're doing great. Thank you for helping me. After a few minutes, Bella finally freed Max's paw. He stood up and wagged his tail excitedly. You saved me, Max said, his tail wagging so hard it made the leaves rustle. Bella smiled shyly. I couldn't just leave you there. Max looked at her with big, grateful eyes. You're not just a good cat. You're a great friend. I owe you one. From that day on, Bella and Max became the best of friends. Bella discovered that Max wasn't as annoying as she thought. He was funny and loyal. And Max learned that Bella was braver and kinder than he ever imagined. They played together in the meadow, shared snacks under the big oak tree, and even napped side by side in the sun. Bella and Max showed everyone in the village that sometimes the best friendships are the ones you least expect.
Ginger, the mischievous orange cat, loved food more than anything else. One night, while everyone in the house was asleep, Ginger's nose twitched. A delicious smell wafted from the kitchen. What's cooking at this hour? She wondered, her tummy rumbling. Quietly, Ginger tiptoed across the living room, careful not to wake anyone. When she peeked into the kitchen, she couldn't believe her eyes. A tiny group of mice was gathered around the table, having a midnight feast. There was cheese, crackers, and even a small pie. Hey, Ginger said, startling the mice. They squeaked and froze in place, their tiny paws clutching food. What are you doing in my kitchen? One brave mouse named Max stepped forward. We're sorry, Ginger. We were just so hungry. Please don't chase us. Ginger thought for a moment. She could chase them, but then she looked at the pie. She said with a sly smile. How about a deal? I won't chase you if you share the pie. The mice huddled together and nodded. Deal, Max said. Together, Ginger and the mice sat around the table, sharing the midnight feast. Ginger nibbled on a slice of pie while the mice enjoyed their cheese and crackers. They laughed, told stories, and had the best time. When the feast was over, Max looked at Ginger and said, "You're not so scary after all. Maybe we can be friends." Ginger purred. Friends who share snacks? Definitely. From that night on, Ginger and the mice became unlikely friends. And whenever the smell of something delicious filled the kitchen, they knew it was time for another midnight feast together.
Once upon a time, in a small, sunny village, there lived a playful orange cat named Whiskers. Whiskers loved exploring every corner of the village. One day, while chasing a fluttering butterfly, he discovered a tiny, mysterious hole in the garden fence. His eyes sparkled with curiosity. What could be on the other side? He wondered. Peeking through, he saw a glimmering pond surrounded by colorful flowers and a family of hopping frogs. Excited, Whiskers squeezed through the hole, but oh no, his tail got stuck. "Meow! Help!" he cried, wiggling and tugging. The butterfly fluttered back and seemed to cheer him on. With one big pull, Whiskers freed himself and tumbled onto the other side. As he stood up, he saw the frogs croaking happily. This is the most magical place ever, he thought. But what adventures awaited him next? In the magical garden, Whiskers noticed something unusual. A baby frog was trapped under a fallen leaf. "Ribbit, Ribbit, help!" croaked the little frog. Whiskers rushed over. "Don't worry, I'll help," he said, using his tiny paws to lift the heavy leaf. With one last push, the baby frog was free. The frogs cheered, "Thank you, Whiskers. You're our hero." They hopped around him in joy. As the sun began to set, Whiskers knew it was time to head home. He waved goodbye to his new friends and squeezed back through the garden fence. That night, as Whiskers curled up to sleep, he dreamed of more magical adventures, and he couldn't wait to explore again tomorrow.
Wow!